Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, today we are embarking on a truly fascinating journey. We're going to look at how the massively popular, globally beloved comic book mythology of Neil Gaiman's The Sandman actually hides a secret. It maps perfectly onto some deeply complex, esoteric theories of reality. It's this brilliant synthesis of pop culture and high-level philosophical thought, and we're going to break the whole shebang down for you right now. To really set the stage for us, listen to this profound quote from the character Destruction. He says, "The endless are merely patterns. The endless are wave functions, echoes of darkness and nothing more." Wow. This isn't just cool comic book dialogue. This immediately signals that we're diving way, way past the surface of colorful comic characters and going straight into the foundational fabric of reality itself. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our agenda for today. We'll start with 1, meet the endless family, then 2, gods versus the endless, 3, the ancient rules of reality, 4, the two-layer model, 5, the axiom and the echo, and finally, 6, finding your true pulse. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, Meet the Endless Family, Anthropomorphic Personifications. Let's briefly trace the incredible real-world legacy of the Sandman. Debuting back in 1989 under DC Comics, it kind of caught fire and quickly became a cultural phenomenon. By 1993, it was absolutely the flagship of the mature reader Vertigo imprint, really pushing the boundaries of what comics could even do. Fast forward all the way to 2022, and this expansive mythology successfully premiered as a massive, visually stunning Netflix adaptation. The lore has literally only grown stronger over the decades. So meet the family itself. You've got Destiny, bound to his cosmic log, going all the way down through death, dream, destruction, desire, despair, and finally to the youngest, Delirium. Now, what's absolutely crucial to grasp here is that these 7 dysfunctional siblings are not just representations or metaphors. As cosmic entities, they literally are their respective functions in the universe. If you dream, that's him. Moving on to Section 2, Gods versus the Endless, the Nature of Power. Now, what's really interesting about this is the stark contrast in the nature of power. Think about gods like Zeus or Thor. They are powered by conscious mortal belief, right? So if mortals stop worshiping them, they risk fading away entirely. But the endless, they operate on a vastly more fundamental scale. They're powered by unconscious, natural actions. As long as living things sleep, dream exists. As long as things die, death exists. They are universal, they're inevitable, and they require absolutely zero active worship to wield omniversal power. Which brings us to Section 3, the ancient rules of reality. The inviolable taboos. Even omniversal beings have strict boundaries, known as the ancient rules, or the laws of conservation of reality, and these rules, they're absolute. Do not spill family blood. Do not fall in love with mortals. Do not take mortal life unless threatened, and respect your roles and domains. Breaking these taboos has catastrophic consequences. For example, when Dream killed his own son Orpheus, he spilled family blood, and that violation triggered this unstoppable correction mechanism, literally calling down the Furies, these ancient entities that just hunt the rule breaker without mercy. But what happens when an endless actually falls? Well, according to the sources, there's an axiom of succession. If a member, like Destruction, simply abandons his realm, the universe suffers chaotic decay, kind of like the worldwide sleeping sickness that happened when Dream went missing. However, if an endless is formally destroyed, they undergo this beautiful transformation. Their essence is reassigned at the underlying level of reality, the substrate, and a successor immediately emerges, carrying the predecessor's memories, but taking on a totally new perspective. Let's peel things back in Section 4, the two-layer model, peeling back reality. According to this esoteric framework we're exploring, reality is actually divided into 2 distinct layers. The first is the narrative layer. This is defined as the visible stories the world tells about itself. It contains all those noble lies, the constructed realities, the spiritual myths, and, the subjective dramas of everyday life. Basically, everything we've talked about so far in this explainer, the comic book lore, the characters at the endless, the dramatic events in the dreaming, all of that exists entirely within this surface narrative layer. But beneath that narrative lies the second layer, the substrate. The philosophical texts describe this as the horrifyingly beautiful true reality. It's an underlying hollow fractal. Now, the sources impartially report on a mystical position suggesting that a weaver, a goddess, or even an apex predator intentionally authors existence from this very layer. And this force operates completely beyond our human concepts of good and evil, establishing a deliberate woven reality that's much denser, stranger, and way more formidable than any surface story could ever be. Now for Section 5, the axiom and the echo, grammar versus characters. And this brilliantly illustrates how everything comes together. In this metaphysical model, the fates represent the axiom, the unchanging grammar of reality, the structural laws, the unbreakable code of the universe. On the flip side, you have the endless, representing the echoes. They are the active characters, the repeating motifs, the wave functions just inhabiting those rules. It's like the fates build the inescapable maze, and the endless are simply the grandest entities walking through it. To really wrap your head around this, just consider the number 1. This represents the single tragic path of destiny, the oldest of the endless siblings. Despite possessing the cosmic log and literally knowing all things, destiny only has one path. Why? Well, because he isn't writing this story. He merely enacts what the older, axiomatic fates have already structurally written into the universe. So even the embodiment of destiny itself is not free from the grammar of reality. Let's bring this home with Section 6, finding your true pulse, transcending the narrative. The records of the nameless detail this fascinating concept called the pulse. The philosophy proposes that your true identity is not the flowing, ever-changing story of your life that you find in the narrative layer. Actually, scratch that. It's more like your core essence is an irreducible rhythm, a standing wave that persists, unbroken, through all the threaded, woven patterns of the cosmic substrate. Your circumstances don't change this standing wave. They only reveal it. So, the crucial point is perfectly captured by this quote from the texts. You are no longer just reading the book. You are the explosion it was written to describe. I mean, wow. The ultimate philosophical goal presented in these sources is to stop simply reading the cosmic log. By identifying your pulse, you move past those noble lies and constructed dramas of the narrative layer, and you embrace the fierce, actualized radiance of the substrate. Which brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with today. When you step back and examine the layers of your own reality, you have to ask yourself, are you just a character playing out a script in the narrative layer? Or are you ready to look deeper into the substrate and find your true pulse? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Until next time, keep questioning the narrative.